What's up, guys? Welcome to June 1st as we dive into Proverbs chapter 17. Better a dry crust eaten in peace than a house filled with feasting and conflict. A wise servant will rule over the master's disgraceful son and will share the inheritance of the master's children. Fire tests the purity of silver and gold, but the Lord tests the hearts. Wrongdoers eagerly listen to gossip. Liars pay close attention to slander. Those who mock the poor insult their Maker. Those who rejoice at the misfortunes of others will be punished. Grandchildren are the crowning glory of the age. Parents are the pride of their children. Eloquent words are not fitting for a fool. Even less are lies fitting for a ruler. A bribe is like a lucky charm. Whoever gives one will prosper. Love prospers when a fault is given, but dwelling on it separates close friendships. A single rebuke does more for a person of understanding than 100 lashes on the back of a fool. Evil people are eager for rebellion, but they will be severely punished. It is safer to meet a bear robbed of her cubs than to confront a fool caught in foolishness. If you repay good with evil, evil will never leave your house. Starting a quarrel is like opening a floodgate, so stop before a dispute breaks out. Acquitting the guilty and condemning the innocent, both are detestable to the Lord. It is senseless to educate a fool, since he has no heart for learning. A friend is always loyal, and a brother is born to help in time of need. It's poor judgment to guarantee another person's debt or put security for a friend. Anyone who loves to quarrel loves sins. Anyone who trusts in high walls invites disasters. The, the crooked hearts will not prosper. The lion tongue tumbles into trouble. It is painful to be the parent of a fool. There is no joy for the father of a rebel. A cheerful heart is a good medicine, but a broken spirit saps a person's strength. The wicked take secret bribes to pervert the course of justice. Sensible people keep their eyes glued on wisdom, but a fool's eyes wander to the ends of the earth. Foolish children bring grief to their father, and bitterness to the one who gave them birth. It is wrong to punish the godly for being good, or to flog leaders for being honest. A truly wise person uses few words. A person with understanding is even tempered. Even fools are thought wise when they kept silent, because, with their mouth shut, they seem intelligent. Unfriendly people care only about themselves. They lash out at common sense. Fools have no interest in understanding. They only want to hear their own opinions. Doing wrong leads to disgrace, and scandalous behavior brings contempt. Wise words are like deep waters. Wisdom flows from the wise like a bubbling brook. It is not right to acquit the guilty or deny justice to the innocent. Fools' words fools' words get them into constant quarrels. They are asking for a beating. The mouth of fools are their ruin. They trap themselves with their lips. Rumors are the dainty morsels that sink deep into one's heart. A lazy person is as bad as someone who destroys things. The name of the Lord is a strong fortress. The godly run to him and are safe. The rich think of their wealth as a strong defense. They imagine it to be a high wall of safety. Haughtiness goes before destruction. Humility precedes honor. Sprouting off before listening to the facts is both shameful and foolish. The human spirit can endure a sick body, but who can bear a crushed soul? Intelligent people are always ready to learn. Their ears are open for knowledge. Giving a gift can open doors. It gives access to important people. The first to speak in court sounds right until cross-examination begins. Flipping a coin can end arguments. It settles disputes between powerful opponents. An offended friend is harder to win back than a fortified city. Arguments separates friends like a gate locked with bars. Wise words satisfy like a good meal. The right words bring satisfaction. The tongue can bring death or life. Those who love to talk will reap the consequences. The man who finds a wife finds a treasure, and he receives favor from the Lord. The poor pleads for mercy. The rich answers with insults. There are friends who destroy each other, but a real friend sticks closer than a brother. Better to be a poor and honest than to be dishonest and a fool. Enthusiasm without knowledge is no good. Hasting what making makes mistakes. People ruin their lives by their own foolishness and then are angry at the Lord. Wealthy makes wealth makes many friends. Poverty drives them all away. A false witness will not go unpunished, nor will a liar escape. Many seek favors from a ruler. Anyone is the friend of a person who gives gifts. The relatives of the poor despise them. How much more will their friends avoid them? Though the poor plead with them, their friends are gone. To acquire wisdom is to love one's yourself. People are who cherish understanding will prosper. A false witness will not go unpunished, and a liar will be destroyed. It isn't right for a fool to live in luxuries or for a slave to rule over princes. Sensible people control their temper. They earn respect by overlooking wrongs. The king's anger is like a lion's roar, but his favor is like dew on the grass. A child, a foolish child is a calamity to a father. A quarrelsome wife is as annoying as constant dripping. Fathers can give their sons an inheritance of house and wealth, but only the Lord can give an understanding wife. Lazy people sleep soundly, but idleness leaves them hungry. Keep the commandments and keep your life. Despising them leads to death. If you help the poor, you are lending to the Lord, and He will repay you. Discipline your children while there is hope, otherwise, you'll ruin their lives. Hot tempered people must pay the penalty. If you rescue them once, you will have to do it again. Get all the advice instructions you can, so you will be wise the rest of your life. You can make many plans, but the Lord's purpose will prevail. Loyalty makes a person attractive. It is better to be poor than dishonest. Fear of the Lord leads to life, brings security and protection from harm. Lazy people take food in their hand, but don't even lift it to their mouth. If you punish a mocker, the simple-minded will learn a lesson. If you correct the wise, they will be they will be all the wiser. Children who mistreat their fathers or chase away their mother are an embarrassment and a public disgrace. If you stop listening to instructions, my child, you will turn your back on knowledge. A corrupt witness makes a mockery of justice. The mouth of the wicked gulps down evil. Punishment is made for mockers, and the backs of fools are made to be beaten. And so that's the end for today. There's a lot of things to be said. Verse 21 of chapter 18, it says the tongue can bring life, or it can bring death or life. Those who love to talk will reap the consequences. It's like just like right off the bat, you notice like Solomon really like encouraging people to watch what they say, because sometimes we could say, oh, words don't matter, but they do affect people in many powerful ways. And so the things that comes out of our mouth are extremely important. They can either bring life upon ourselves and upon others, or bring death upon ourselves or upon others. And like if you say things that are harmful, obviously we have to repent, and I believe that God will forgive those who ask for forgiveness. But that doesn't mean that you get to keep going. Part of repenting means is to turn away from saying these things, right? And so for me, it's like realizing that words do matter, that they can bring death, they can bring life to another person's life. Um, but yeah, and then it talks about how there will be friends. There are friends in your. There are a lot of friends in our life who destroys each other. But I think the real friend that we're looking for is what we call close friends, basically friends who are like brothers and sisters to us. Verse 24 of chapter 19 really emphasize on that. It's like I think that's our truest desires in our hearts when it comes to friendships, like having friends who are closer than our own siblings. And I definitely do have some of those, not gonna lie. Sometimes I feel like I'm closer to my friends than I am to my siblings and stuff, but um God, like Solomon talks a lot about fools, um foolish people making foolish decisions being made, poor consequences that could lead to death. And so it's like I guess it's like more like what do we consider, what when it comes to fools, what's something that comes into our mind. For me, it's just like fools is just people who are prideful, who are boastful about who they are. They don't think they need God. And they lean on their own understanding of how life works. I think those are fools. I don't think all fools are. There are fools in this world that are like intentionally wants to be fools, but there are others I think are not intentionally trying to be fools. It just somehow they just turn out, or like they just the way they present themselves, um, makes them look like a fool and stuff. But that just means that we have to try harder as Christians to help them see. Obviously, if they don't want to see the truth, then that's their problems. But they go out and reach to people that does want to desire to know the truth, who are living a life that isn't the best. Don't give up on don't give up on those people. And it talks about how you shouldn't be a liar, or you be punished. Uh, and then acquire wisdom is to love yourself. People who cherish understanding will prosper. Um, Sensible people. If you want to be respected, one of the biggest ways to do that is verse 11 of chapter 19 says, "Sensible people control their temper." I think we all get angry, and that's okay. It's like sometimes there are things to be angry about, but it's like, how can we control our anger so that it doesn't get out of control? And like be able to like recognize what is considered as a health anger versus unhealthy anger, right? I don't think all angers are healthy, but I don't think all angers are unhealthy either. You have to find the balance. You have to it's like the discernment works in the discernment in your heart is like, where do you see the line being crossed? What do you say that's close to the line? What is something that you say out of your anger that you feel like it's just or unjust? So um obviously this is something I really see. A foolish child is a calamity to a father. And now at this point, it's not just a child. When children are being foolish, they're affecting their peers. It's like a disease, basically. Because if one child acts like a fool, then the rest of them are gonna act like a fool because they think it's cool. They think they don't have the brain understanding of why their peers do the things that their peers do are foolish. And so it's like the job of the parents to make sure that they point their child into the right direction, because this world is sick. This world breeds foolishness. We are literally standing on the breeding ground of fools, of foolish people. We have to understand, and as parents, as friends who knows God in His words, we have to pull these people back into reality, into the real reality, which is like um overcoming their own foolishness, if that makes sense. Um, keep the commands and keep your life. Despising them leads to death. That's a good point. Like sometimes we don't understand the rules that's given to us. But the thing is, like, we don't just get to dismiss it because we don't understand it. We have to keep following them, trusting that God gave those commands for a reason. that it's supposed to help to keep us to keep and prosper our life, bless our life, not to lead us to death or discomfort. I mean, it's not even to discomfort. We choose to be discomfort, right? Our flesh wants to be discomforted, but our souls has to be disciplined enough where we are willing to follow commands, even if our body does not want to. And then Solomon talks about how like if you help the poor, then you are like helping God basically, in a sense. Even that God doesn't really need help, but they more like God would be looking down on you with pleasing with, and He will be pleased for what you have done. Discipline your children while there is hope, otherwise you'll ruin their life. Again, this is more towards parents. How do you discipline a child without being abusive? I feel like that's kind of like the thing in our modern time is like, oh, you want to discipline my child? I want to discipline my child. Okay, let me just be abusive towards them. Let me hit them and stuff. And I don't think there's anything wrong with hitting them, but it's like, where's the line being drawn, you know? And again, that's what everybody's house preferences are, family preferences are. We can make all the plans in the world, guys, but at the end of the day, no matter what happens, the plans of God will always work out one way or another. So sometimes it maybe be through the plans that you have given them, or God is like through the plans that you created, that God can work towards His own plan, or He could throw away your plan and come up with a better plan. But yeah, and then obviously you don't want to be a mocker. Fear of the Lord leads to a life, bringing security and protection from home. That's pretty. I forgot what it was. That's pretty common sense, almost in a sense. Even if we don't understand why God's doing what He's doing, we just have to trust. We just have to be fear of the Lord, meaning having the Lord in our minds, being mindful of Him each day. That's where life begins. That's where our life flourishes, is if we follow the command of the Lord. And then so yeah, the name of the Lord is a strong fortress. The godly run to Him and are safe. If you want to be a godly person, if you want to love God, if you want to care about God, go to God. You can't follow God if you decide to follow what the other people they say about you. Read the Bible yourself. Read the scripture yourself. Do your own research. And I'm speaking all that. Like I need to do some of those things too. Research, spending more time with God, being less distracted with things. But yeah, it's interesting. Verse 19, and an offended friend is harder to win back than a fortified city. I feel like that's something I've been dealing with, but been dealt with. It's like me telling somebody that what they live with, the way they live their life is dishonorable to God. They get really offended, and that we have not been able to talk to each other. It's just really true, guys. It's like, the thing is like, is your rebuke of your friends worthy enough for you to lose your friendship over? Obviously, I don't think anybody wants us. Like, if I don't think anybody wants to lose their friends, but it's like sometimes we have to prepare our hearts for the possibility of losing our friends because what we say may offend them. And that's the thing is like, if your friend is offended by what you said, you have to like start reflecting on, is it just because of what you said, or is it really because like there's something that really like something that's going on with them that they just find something that you may have tried to correct them with, and they just blew that out of proportion. I like the verse 12 of chapter 18. It says, haughtiness goes before destruction, humility precedes honor. That's at the end of the day, like humility is the reason to live. Humility is the way to life, not through anger, not through hostility, not through hatred, but through humility. And then it talks more about fools running their mouth, how they're digging themselves into a hole, and then how God is because God is a just God. he isn't a it would dishonor God if we acquit the guilty, if we did not it is not right to acquit the guilty or deny justice to the innocent. Um, but yeah, I don't know what else I say, but ungodly people, unfriendly people cares about themselves. I don't know if I agree with that totally, because just because you're this is coming from his perspective, Solomon's perspective. So it's like just because somebody is not friendly towards you does not mean that they're a narcissist person. Just because they're not friends with you does not mean that makes them a narcissistic person. Um. Oh, verse 14, something that we really I think really highlights our human nature, and that is that human spirit can enjoy a sick body, but who can enjoy a crushed spirit? And the reason why it's stood out to me is like because it's like our guys, it's like I don't know if you know this or not, but it's like yes, things we could buy everything, we could gain all the populate, we could be on top of the world, and yet our spirit is in trouble. Yet our spirit is troubled. It's like why work so hard for those things if your spirit is never content? The only way for your spirit to be content and be satisfied is through God. It's not through the earthly things, it's not through your friends, but through God. And the God uses your friends sometimes, but when your friend does not have a relationship with God, I'm not I mean obviously God can show it, but like I also realizing it's like what I'm trying to say is like don't look for the earthly things to find try to resolve, try to feel your heart's desires, feel your spirit's desires, but by looking for God, by asking for God's help, can we finally satisfy can he finally satisfy our spirit's need? But yeah, oh yeah, this is it. Acquitting the guilt, verse 15 of chapter 17, it says, acquitting the guilty and condemning the innocent, both are detestable to the Lord. Because he is a God of justice, so it would make sense for why he'll be angry, why it will dishonor him. I was trying to see, like, oh yeah, we already talked about that, so. Oh yeah, here was something that stood out to me. Wait, what is it? I'm trying to see. It talks about how like, there was like a verse where it talks about how a rebuke is, I forgot where it was that says that, but it talks about how like a rebuke towards the wise is much more than 100 lashes against a fool's back. It just, oh yeah, I know what it is. Oh yeah, a single rebuke does not. Oh, so this is verse 10 of chapter 15 of 17. It says, a single rebuke does more for a person of understanding than 100 lashes on the back of a fool. And it's like each time we get rebuked, guys, how often are we going to be trying to understand where the people are coming from? Or are we just going to get offended because, oh my gosh, they said something that's not true about us, so we're going to get offended? It's like, I think it's, and that's the thing, like, I struggle with this too. It's like, I struggle with like taking rebukes and try to understand why it's a rebuke, why they're upset with me. Sometimes I just gets offended without understanding. And that's the thing about humans, is that we are so easily to get offended and we're quick to get offended, slow to understanding. And so Solomon is talking about how like how much greater a single rebuke is for a person of understanding, a person who desires to understand, a person who's wanting to change. Then he compares that to 100 lashes on the back of a fool to make the fool understand. So we could be the fool that's just keep getting lashes, keep getting rebuked, but without understanding. While a single rebuke is so much more for a person who desires to understand, who has that sense of understanding and things. So it's like kind of a reflection. It's like, how do we take rebuke? How do we handle this, how do we handle ourselves when we're being rebuked and things. So yeah, that's all I have to say. So may you guys go and walk with God today.